Hello everyone. Today we are going to read section 2 on being Sarah. Sarah Bennett suffered from cerebral palsy and could not speak. Unable to communicate, she felt frustrated and isolated until she found a way to express herself. Before she had gone to school, Sarah had not been sure there was anyone else like her in the whole world. A woman named Mrs. Brady had come to the house twice a week to give Sarah exercises, and she used to talk about other children she worked with. These children had never seemed real to Sarah. She had never seen any children like herself. No one, perhaps not even her parents, expected her to grow up properly. Surely she would just go on making those noises again or when she tried to talk. She would watch the world around her without ever really being part of it. The questions she kept asking inside herself would hardly ever find an answer. She remembered how it had been when she was younger. There had been so much she wanted to say. Words stumbled around in her brain, waiting to be spoken. She had heard these words 1,000 times as her mother said them, her father, her sister, everyone. She could not speak a single word to them. Over and over again, she would try to make the sounds to say a word. She would shudder inside when she heard the noises, but no words at all that came out. Sometimes she would put her head down on the tray of her wheelchair and cry. There was no way, though, that she could ever stop trying to speak. She was driven. At school, she had learned to talk with symbols. It was like waking up from a long dim daydream and discovering the world. The thoughts and feelings she had hidden inside herself could come out because, as her teacher said, symbols do what talking does. Now she could ask questions and get answers. Of course, she would never get out of that wheelchair, never speak an understandable word with her voice. She knew that. But she was growing up the way all children do. She was Sarah Bennett and she was going to be somebody in this world. Going to school and learning symbols meant that much to her. Sarah's teacher made a symbol board for her to use at school. Sarah chose the symbols herself from a set of printed symbol stamps. These were sticky on the back. Her teacher stuck each one onto an empty square on the board until most of the squares were covered. One row of squares was left empty for future use. The board had 300 symbols. They were arranged in groups to make them easier to use. People and things were together and these were colored yellow. Symbols that meant anything, any kind of action, or those for be verbs were colored green. Those that told what something was like or how you felt were placed together and always colored blue. The symbols on her new board were small. They had to be to get so many on the board. But Sarah didn't expect to have any trouble learning them. After all, she said to herself, I can see. The letters of the alphabet appeared in a neat row just above the symbols. In the upper left hand corner, in a circle, was a big symbol for no. In the upper right hand corner, yes. Sarah liked that. Sarah's mother had pasted the pictures of her family with their names in a row near the top of her board. There were extra spaces for new friends. A narrow strip across the top read, My name is Sarah Bennett. I communicate with bliss symbols. When Sarah had first brought symbols home from school, her mother had decorated the kitchen walls with them so that they could practice together. Her mother had printed the word for each symbol just as on Sarah's bliss symbol board. That was so people who had not learned the symbols would know what was being said. Some of the symbols Sarah's mother had put up were still there. This was a good time to talk. Sarah wanted her mother to tell her over and over again what happened when she was a baby and why she couldn't walk or talk. Even though she already knew the story, talking about it helped her understand. Her mother had explained that part of Sarah's brain may have been injured either about the time she was born or before, or her brain had failed to develop as it should have. It was hard for doctors to know just what had happened. Whether the cause it meant that Sarah's brain could not send the right signals to most of her muscles and they could not move properly. That included the muscles she would need for talking. Many people with cerebral palsy can walk pretty well, Sarah's mother had told her. Most can talk, though not always clearly. Lucky people, Sarah thought. Tell me again about when I was a baby, Sarah was saying now. Her mother nodded as if she knew Sarah would want that. You were a lovely baby even though you couldn't move around like most babies. That doctor, Sarah said with her symbols. Yes, that doctor who told me you had cerebral palsy when he found out you couldn't speak, he told me you would never learn much. Dumb doctor, Sarah wanted to say, but there was no symbol for that kind of dumb. She spelled it out with the letters at the top of her board. It came out dumb. Sarah laughed. Well, you know, Sarah, her mother went on, when a person can't say anything, it's easy for people, even doctors, to think they aren't very smart. And it's true that some children with cerebral palsy aren't bright. Of course, some otherwise normal people aren't very bright either. And me? You seemed pretty smart to us, but we weren't sure what you could do. We wanted you to have every chance in the world, even if you couldn't speak. And look, Mama, Sarah pointed. I can say almost anything I want with symbols. Yes, you had the words in your head all the time. So, this was the reading of our lesson on being Sarah. If you have any doubt or query, you can ask me in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to check the description box below for the links to other chapters. Thank you, everyone.